Thank you very much for being with us today. Could you please introduce yourself in terms of where you were born and grew up?
My name is Georgeann Schmied, and I grew up not too far from here. Was raised in St. Bridget's Parish. My mom went to St. Benedict's, so she grew up in that area. My dad was from Baltimore, and he grew up in the United Church of Christ. So I think I had a religious leaning even before I was born. Both my parents were very faithful churchgoers. Went all through St. Bridget's, went to Marymount High School, so had a good foundation through schooling. Have only lived in Richmond or outside of Richmond once, but was glad to come back home, and ended up here at St. Mary's, I guess, 30-some years ago. And so it's home, it's home. St. Bridget's was the childhood home. St. Mary's is now the adult home.
Over the 30 or so years you've been a member here of St. Mary's, can you talk about some of the ministries you've participated in and what that experience has been like?
I guess the two biggest have been Human Concerns, and then RCIA, and then the lecturing and Eucharistic ministry. I truly just feel those are just beautiful, beautiful ministries. But I think with Human Concerns, there are so many, again, opportunities there to plug in so many different ways. And we've had such wonderful ministers leading that ministry, over the years. They've all brought such wonderful gifts and such passion, to it, which is infectious, because it's not up to them to do it. It's up to them to engage people. And Rebecca Oxenrider has certainly been successful at that, and Sister Eileen Riley before her, and just so many people going over the years. And again, it's amazing if you really listed everything that Human Concerns has touched. It would just go on pages and pages. Then RCIA, of course, as I've talked about, I think just being able to journey with folks that want to join the Catholic Church is a real privilege and a real honor, and I learn more, I think, than they learn. And every group is a little different, and then of course we have the sponsors who are learning too, and so just a very rewarding experience all the way around. And lecturing, I guess I kind of got the bug with that from my dad being a lector, and the way he prepared for it was, just very special to, see him kind of, find a quiet spot in the house and, actually spend the time, going through it. And then to be able to, be a Eucharistic minister, to be able to actually, stand in front of a brother or sister and offer them, the body and blood. But again, we're doing this for each other. We're ministering to each other. It's not, as you said, the collars or the ordained, because we're all basically ordained through our baptism.
What advice would you give to somebody who is perhaps just now beginning to be a member of St. Mary's? When you joined 30 years ago, it was a smaller community in terms of total size, and a younger community in terms of our own history. But what advice would you give to a family or an individual who's just starting out here? Maybe they've just arrived at the parish.
I think the best advice would be to get involved in something. And people with families and lots going on, that's hard to do, but I think you make a conscious choice, and there's so many things to do here that don't require a lot of time or whatever. And that's what happened with me when I first started coming here. I think I was maybe asked to do something and reluctantly said yes, but then that kind of started it all. And so I would say to new folks, yeah, look at everything that's going on and find just one thing. Start small, and something you could do with your family perhaps or whatever. But then I think y'all do a great job with newcomers and whatever, and letting them know, you know, what is what. But I think not only the staff, but I think the rest of us parishioners need to invite new people to these things and accompany them, because it's hard to just, you know, when you're brand new, to say, yeah, here I am. And then we need to be welcoming when they do, you know, come. And so that's a challenge, I think, to, you know, to us that have been here for a while, to really show that true hospitality. And it's more than just, you know, saying, hi, how are you? It is kind of, you know, helping them feel at home.
As you've been talking today, you described going to William and Mary, and then VCU, and then a career in banking and teaching and nonprofits and involvement in lots of different kinds of ministry. Mm-hmm. And at one point you said that things didn't turn out quite as you planned, but that God had a bigger plan. As you look back, at least from this point in your life, how have you seen how God eventually gets you where you're supposed to be? As you look back at everybody at stages of our life, we can look back and see how, oh, that happened, and only now do I see why it was happening.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
What have you learned, at least up to this stage of your journey?
Well, I think going back to college, I wanted to go to a college in New York, but it just didn't work out. And that took a while to get over, but I think ending up at VCU, ending up there in the Newman Club, and making those friends that I still have today, and the journeys that we have traveled together, you know, marriages, births, deaths, you know, all of that. I mean, just really life. But that thread of belief, of knowing that, you know, God is all a part, you know, of that. So I think, and with all of the jobs too, I think maybe I didn't realize that there are, you know, different ways of getting to where you need to go. And because I guess, you know, early on it was like, well, this should be your path, you know, this is what females do, this is what males do, and da-da-da-da. And I guess I, you know, thought I would go along one of those paths, but, you know, I didn't, and I think I'm glad, you know, that I didn't. And so when I do look back, the few regrets or disappointments, you know, are so insignificant. And I mean, I wouldn't be at this point if I hadn't, you know, traveled the road that God put before me, and not me.
At this stage of your life, what are you most grateful for when you're talking to God and you're doing your prayers of gratitude? Is there anything that sticks out in terms of your gratitude right now in life?
Right now, I think family, as we're getting older, and so far, you know, all of my siblings are still here, but we know, you know, we don't know for how much longer. So I think we're all realizing just how important that is, and how we've had to really work at it with my folks gone, because we, you know, they were the ones that kind of, you know, kept us all together. So we're doing more around that, even though we're scattered a little bit. But I'm certainly very thankful for this community here, and just the support, the faces of people that I don't necessarily remember their name, but I know we have this connection, and just so I think probably just, yeah, those two, and of course the, you know, the friends, but my faith too. I really, that I think is at the bottom, you know, really at the bottom of it all, and you know, thanks to my parents, you know, for that, for sure. The Catholic education, but just the life experiences that have, you know, brought it all here.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing this part of your journey with us, and thank you for talking about the faith that is at the heart of it all for you, and thanks for being a blessing to our parish. Thank you.
Thank you.